Hello YouTubers, Alaska Prepper here. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you had a great weekend, and we have a lot of big stories to go over today, so stay tuned, especially because this video is going to be an entry video for you to win some silver. So stay tuned. I'm going to put out the very basic rules, just like I always do for an entry video, so that you can enter to win 2 ounces of silver. And at today's silver prices, ladies and gentlemen, that's a $100 bill. Trump's 50-year mortgage proposal is a bad idea. This is the first story we're going to cover because I have to agree. It is a terrible idea to go from a 30-year mortgage to a 50-year mortgage. I think that a 30-year mortgage in itself is not a great idea. That you should try to keep it down as low as you possibly can. However, the economic conditions at hand don't even allow people to get into a 30-year mortgage unless they make a certain amount of money, which is out of the reach of most Americans. And here the author explains why the 50-year mortgage is a bad idea, and I'm going to actually show you why it's a terrible idea. When President Trump's new Federal Housing Finance Agency Director, Mr. Pulte, floated the idea of a 50-year mortgage over the weekend, and the president amplified it over the weekend on social media, the proposal sounded some like a clever way to make homes more affordable. But it is not a way to make homes more affordable, ladies and gentlemen. It's the exact opposite. And to make lower monthly payments, easier access, and there will be more buyers, which means that it would give a little bit of a rise to the economy. However, it's going to be at a great cost. Why longer mortgages don't make homes cheaper? Extending mortgage terms increases the total amount a household can bid for a given property, which means that home prices are going to go up, which pushes prices upward rather than bringing them down. It's financial engineering that inflates, it doesn't innovate, meaning that they're not coming up with an idea to make your homes cheaper. They're coming up with an idea to actually make your homes more expensive than what they already are in the market. So let's take, for example, a $300,000 price tag on a 30-year mortgage at the going interest rate, which is about 6%. You're going to end up paying, ladies and gentlemen, $347,000 in interest over the life of that loan. Is that a good idea? Well, maybe to some people it is, depending on their financial situation. But take a look at what a 50-year mortgage looks like. It's not good. So in this example, I went ahead and left the loan amount the same. I left the interest rate the same, although the interest rate on a 50-year mortgage, I would assume, would be a lot higher. Why is that? Why would the interest rate be higher? Because a mortgage is an investment. Whoever lends you that money or whoever that mortgage-backed security is sold to is hoping that the people under the mortgage package that they just purchased are going to be able to continue to pay their debt down all the way through maturity. Usually it's at least up to 10 years out. And the reason for that is because usually after 10 years, you've pretty much paid off your mortgage when you include the interest that you're paying. But if we keep it at 300 and we just keep it at 6%, all right, let's say that that's the number, but we change the loan term to 50 years. Take a look at what happens to the interest paid. You're paying more than twice as much interest for that loan than what you actually took the loan out for. So a $300,000 bill turns into $947,000 after you've paid it off. I'm not sure about you, but leave it in the comments. Do you think that a 50-year mortgage is a good idea? And this has been all the hype throughout social media this last weekend. President Trump announces $2,000 tariff dividend to be paid to most Americans. Now that $2,000 payment is not clear and cut. A dividend of at least $2,000 a person, not including high-income people, and I'm assuming that high-income people are people that are above or at the 10% of earners or higher, all right, will be paid to everyone, he posted on Truth Social, adding that tariffs have brought in trillions of dollars and that 401k accounts are at the highest level ever. He also claimed that the tariffs had caused no inflation. What do you think about that, ladies and gentlemen? Do you think that the tariffs that have been put in place have caused no inflation? I almost kind of believe this, ladies and gentlemen, because the prices were skyrocketing on almost everything even before the tariffs. You see, this could be a little bit of wordplay, right? Sure, tariffs don't add inflation. The definition of inflation, really, when used properly, is when the money supply in the system goes up, therefore making the prices of things go up. So do tariffs contribute to inflation? No. But the question is, do tariffs contribute to the price of things going up? The Treasury Department said in September that it had collected more than $195 billion from tariffs just this year alone, while the Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent says he expects the U.S. to collect $500 billion more in tariff revenue every year. Now, just to put that in perspective, $500 billion is a lot of money, but it's merely roughly a quarter, right? 1/4 of just our deficit. Now, ladies and gentlemen, before we continue, I want to say thank you very much to the sponsor of this video for sending me some silver to go away. So stay tuned till the end of this video so that you can find out how to win. I'm going to be giving away 2 ounces of silver today and every single Monday for the foreseeable future, at least through the end of this calendar year. Ladies and gentlemen, you all know that I've spent years helping people prepare for uncertain times through practical action coupled with real-world solutions, and most importantly, faith. One of the smartest steps I've taken over the years is moving part of my savings into physical gold and silver. And that's why I've decided to partner with Alpha Omega Gold. They help people like you and me protect what we've earned over the years instead of letting it burn in the inferno of inflation. Alpha Omega Gold helps you protect your wealth by safely holding it outside the system through direct physical delivery of your precious metals in your hands or with a gold and silver IRA. So why did I decide to partner with Alpha Omega Gold? Well, ladies and gentlemen, I talked to the owner at hand. I did my research and found out that they have a great Better Business Bureau rating, and they are very charitable and a faith-based organization. They help guide you with patience and understanding with your personal circumstances, so it's tailored to you. They truly represent honesty and integrity built on biblical values, trust, and personal preparedness. If you're concerned about inflation, central bank control, or the weakening dollar, give Alpha Omega Gold a call at 855-426-4653 or simply click on the link that I'm going to leave on a pinned comment and or the description of this video. And having real money in your hands, ladies and gentlemen, is so invaluable in the times that we live, because we are headed towards what I believe is the end of a monetary cycle. And with the end of every monetary cycle that we've seen throughout history, there always is a portion that is nothing but crisis, that is devaluation, that is people not being able to get the sustenance that they need because their paper wealth is no longer usable. Warning, all of this is going to unleash inflation, and that's why it's so important for you to protect yourself, at least have a little bit of savings in precious metals that you can hold in your hand. This is the good news, they say, and they're referencing that the stock market is going up. But I often said that I believe that we're going to have a crack up boom instead of a complete crash. It's going to be one or the other, but they're both a crash. It's just that one goes up, the other one goes down. The bad news is that inflation is surging higher again. The Trump administration has bet the Republic on the notion that the U.S. can somehow grow its way out of its debt issues. We cannot grow our way out of this debt issue, ladies and gentlemen. There is zero chance that we can pay off our national debt. The best that we can do is lower interest rates, or that interest rates get lower so that we have to pay less interest on the ballooning $38 trillion debt. This is the proverbial run it hot economy framework in which you pursue growth by any means, even if it means risking an inflationary storm. What is the problem with inflation, AP? It makes my house worth more. Your house is really not worth any more than it was yesterday. But the problem with inflation is that most people that own stocks in the stock market are wealthy. They are the people that own assets, and they are not the everyday layman that has to go to work and punch a clock and then spend most of the money, if not all of the money that they earn, just to live. Inflation makes those that hold assets, this is an asset, okay? It makes them wealthier, and it makes those, the working man, it makes them poorer. And if you're in the working class, you're lucky if you're just keeping your head above water, because most aren't. Put simply, this administration is flooding the financial system with money, whether it be in the form of fiscal spending, stimulus checks, helicopter money, or monetary easing via the Fed. All of this is highly inflationary. Money creation in any kind is inflationary, ladies and gentlemen, and it is creating what I call the great global melt-up. Melt-up, crack-up, boom, pretty much the same thing. A process through which risk assets explode higher in a massive bubble. Remember that the Fed hasn't even started printing money yet. Imagine when the Fed starts doing QE, because they're going to have to eventually. Things are going to get out of control, and that's why you have to prepare yourself. Make sure that you have food, water, medicine. Make sure that you have a backup for energy. That way, if we ever start having brownouts, because the energy sector cannot maintain our withering power lines, that you have those things prepared and ready to go. Eventually, they will happen. We are in the era of crisis. Now, I'm not sure if this is good news or bad news, but from precious metals to critical metal, silver's new status could reshape its global supply chain. Now, I believe that silver has been a critical mineral or metal for a very long time, ever since we started this technical boom that we've been on for the last 2 or 3 decades now. But it's going to become even more critical, because the more stuff that we innovate and the more that technology takes hold of your everyday life, the more that silver is going to be needed. Do a small exercise on your own. I've actually done a video on this a long time ago, but look and see how many things that we consume, how many things that we need in order to run everyday life require silver. They need silver. Without it, we'd be back in the early 1900s. And here, Kitco says that silver prices are still consolidating around the $50 area. I noticed today that it went just a little bit over $50. However, there are growing bullish expectations as the precious metal has been officially added to the U.S. Survey of Critical Minerals. Robust industrial demand has created substantial supply deficits in the silver market for the past 5 years, depleting above-ground stockpiles to critically low levels. The good news is that we still have silver in the crust of the earth. We don't have that many. I think we have maybe about 15 or 16 years left if we continue to consume silver as a world the way that we are now. And 15 or 16 years is just not a very long time. And some people will probably argue that, well, AP, once we run out of silver in the crust of the earth, what about all that silver that are in garbage sites and things like that have not been recycled? Well, that is a very good point. There's a whole bunch of silver in garbage sites, right, in garbage dumps that have not been recycled because they're in such small pieces that it's not worth doing it because it costs so much to be able to recycle it. Well, imagine a world where we have to go to recycling silver out of garbage dumps, right? How much do you think an ounce of silver will be then? It's going to be a lot more, right? The upward pressure on silver is going to continue to go up as long as the upward pressure on technology is going to continue to go up. Now, the United States alone has over 500 data centers, and they're planning on running more. They're planning on doing nuclear energy. All of that stuff takes silver. Heck, ladies and gentlemen, even the filters that you use on your reverse osmosis water filtration system, they need silver as well. The medical industry needs silver. Everything in our lives requires silver for us to have the standard of living that we have today. And it looks like the Senate is getting ready to vote to reopen the government. And really what they're voting for is to continue to borrow money. It looks like the Senate may pass legislation to reopen the government after the longest shutdown in U.S. history as soon as today. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, I tell you that crises is a word because it doesn't last forever. And that's why you have to be prepared. The reason that you prepare is for a crisis. It's not for the end of the world. Now, this government shutdown has been a crisis for many people. Had they had a month or 2 months put away worth of food, or would they have had an emergency fund put away, this wouldn't have been a crisis for them. It would have just been an exercise of resiliency. And here they say that getting to the finish line will require amending the House-passed continuing resolution. And that's what this government shutdown is all about. It's about being able to pass a resolution that will allow us to continue to borrow money, ladies and gentlemen. You have to understand that. To include 3 full years appropriations bills for a number of programs, plus a new continuing resolution when? January 30th, just a few months away. The more and more in debt that we get, the more and more CRs that we will see happen, because debt is exponential. Take a look at the debt clock and just go back a few years and see 5 years ago how much debt we had, and then see 5 years before that, see how much debt we had. And you'll see that the debt every 5 years or so, or however you can track it, you'll see that it goes up a lot higher every time. It's because there's no choice. The government is a monster that we allowed to get too big, and now it has to get bigger or die. And the last story of the day, ladies and gentlemen, is that no one is above the law. We have to follow the rule of law if we are going to live in a civilized society. Take a look at a lot of the states or cities where the rule of law has been put to the side because the police have been handcuffed by those that are supposed to actually support them in doing their jobs according to the Constitution of that state and the United States of America. Facing 30 years in jail, New York AG, or former New York AG, Letitia James, seeks dismissal of mortgage fraud charges. I don't care about this lady one bit. But what I care about is that if she did commit this crime, then she should be punished accordingly. Just like anyone else that committed a crime just like she did, she should be punished accordingly, ladies and gentlemen. It doesn't matter who you are or what you do or what political stance you have or anything. If the crime was committed, then you should be punished accordingly. That is how we preserve our republic, is through the rule of law. And it seems that we've gotten away from that as a country for the last several years. Now, having said that, I apologize. I forgot to let you know how to enter to win the 2 ounces of silver. And what I'll do is next Monday, I will announce who the winner of the 2 ounces of silver are. Let me see. I haven't even looked at it. It's a brand new thing. Look, check this out. They're buffaloes. So they're really beautiful, brand spanking new. There's the front and there's the back. Brand spanking new buffaloes. And what I will do is I will ship these to you myself. And if you win and you don't live in the United States of America, I will still ship it to you. I will still send it to you. However, when I send it, I will take a picture of the package with the postage on it. And if it doesn't get there, then I'll have to say I'm sorry. But that would be me doing my due diligence in trying to get it to you wherever you're from. All right. So obviously, if you live in the U.S., it's going to get to you a lot simpler. But all you have to do, you know what? Let's go ahead and for the code word, all right, all you have to do is leave a comment. It'd be nice if you left a like as well. But leave a comment and go ahead and put the word buffalo in your comment. All right. And even if you just want to leave a comment that says buffalo, you're entered to win. All right, so I will go ahead and let you all know next Monday who the winner of these 2 ounces of silver are. And then I will go ahead and give you some information so that you can send me your information so I can deliver it to you, okay? And I'm not going to put out any email addresses or anything like that until I actually announce the winners, because there's a lot of fakes out there. I don't want you falling for any kind of fake stuff that anyone's putting out there that may be using my channel's thumbnail, etc. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm never going to ask you guys for money. I'm never going to say, hey, send me so much Bitcoin to this Bitcoin address. I'm never going to say, hey, send me this money. Send me money to here. And I'm going to make sure. I'm not going to do that. All right. So you can feel at ease as far as that goes. And whatever information you give me so that I can mail you whatever you've won, I will not share that with anyone else unless it's with a third party that's giving the stuff away. Like the SIMPURE RO systems that I'm going to be giving away sometime this week. I'll let you all know who the winners are. I will give them your information so that they can directly ship it to you. Other than that, let me stop because this is taking long enough. But a lot of good information in this video. I hope that you stayed through the end. Remember, On the comment, leave the word buffalo, all right? And if you misspell it, that's all right, as long as it's the word buffalo, and you'll be entered to win 2 ounces of silver. And we're going to continue to do this every single Monday till the end of this calendar year. God bless every one of you. I love you all. Thank you very much for joining in today. God bless America. I'm Alaska Prepper. I'm out.